want to share with you today is just an excited overlook at the new piece of equipment that we got in the shop here. This is a drastic upgrade in our turning capacity for the shop. This is a Southwestern Industries 1630SX lathe. These machines are great. I've used them in the past. We picked up this one as a partner to the Southwestern Industries DPM2 mill that we have. I'm partial to this brand, the Southwestern Industries, and the TRAK line. I've had a lot of experience with them in the past. I used to be a repair, installation, calibration, training technician for one of their distributors in the Bay Area here. I've always liked the machines. I've been using Southwestern Industries since high school. They're pretty easy to work on. They're something you can fix yourself most of the time. And overall, I think they're great machines, really easy to use, especially for prototyping and short-run production, which is really what their target audience is. These machines, it's full 2-axis CNC. So you have full digital spindle control, you have Z and X control. One of the great things that I like about these is they're basically drive-by-wire. So your hand wheels are out here for X and Z, and you're turning an encoder here. So you have a puck system in there, you're turning an encoder, and they give a little bit of tension on it with a spring-loaded plastic puck. It gives it a really nice, glassy, smooth feel to it. That's kind of the experience that you get while you're operating the machine. I really like it. Safety glass on a lot of machines could be milling machines or lathes. This is a used machine and came with a glass that was already cracked. I would recommend replacing the glass about every 5 years, and you want to make sure that you're replacing it with Lexan and not plexiglass. Plexiglass will shatter and hardly protect you at all. Lexan in even, I think, 1/4 inch thickness will stop a 22. So this is 3/16, we're just gonna put some new holes in here and mount this in here. Got a protective film, you just peel it off. And you can get a piece of this from your local plastic store, maybe Tap Plastics or something like that. So this is the spindle nose. This is a standard D16 spindle nose. Has a little bit over 2-inch bore with a like Morse Taper 5, I think it is, or yeah, Morse Taper 5 on the spindle. So lots of tooling available for this, very easy to get, and the pricing keeps getting better as time goes on. We have a couple of pieces here. Standard stuff, some of it we had hanging around, and the 10-inch 3-jaw came with the machine. It's a standard everyday chuck for a lathe like this. We've got a nice little D16 faceplate for doing turning between centers, so your lathe dog would catch in these grooves. And we have an older 4-jaw independent that we're going to clean up and rebuild and use on that. We also have a nice 16-inch faceplate down here. So this guy just came in and we're still getting the Cosmoline off of it. But this is for mounting anything unusually shaped. You can clamp right to the faceplate. This goes on the spindle nose, and you can do any kind of eccentric turning or boring or things like that in castings, whatever you can dream up or comes through the shop. So we'll get this cleaned up and mounted and check it out later on. So you've got two settings. You've got a fine and a coarse setting on the speed of your feed, and now you can see that we can move the machine with the hand wheels. And it's just like operating a manual machine, but you're driving by wire. I do really like the feel of these. Like I said, it gives you a little bit of, I don't want to say it gives you direct feedback like on a manual lathe, but there's something about the zero delay and the accuracy of these hand wheels that you don't have any delay, there's no drag, you don't get any weird feeling in between you moving the hand wheel and the machine moving. It's instantaneous. If you get the tracking feature like we have on this one, it will allow you to run through an entire turning program just by turning one of the hand wheels. So that gives you the ability to test a program, test a tool, play with a new material to get familiar with it without it running full speed in CNC run mode. Something where almost every part you put in the machine is going to be a different program. You're going to have to write a program or edit a program for it. Honestly, it may be true that more of your time on these machines is spent programming than machining. Because usually what you're going to do is you're going to set up your 3, 4, 5, 6 different tools, 8 tools, whatever it is, and you're going to run 1 or 2 or 10 parts, and then you're done. You're moving on to the next part. So your machining time may actually be smaller than your programming time. One other thing I wanted to mention about the digital hand wheels on this is I like that they're continuous motion. And what I mean by that is it's not a clicking action like you get with a pulse hand wheel, like you would see on a lot of the mills. It's completely smooth, and it's literally riding over a plastic surface. It's a spring-loaded plastic puck in there, and the only thing that stops it is that little bit of friction. You can dial this in the tenths if you want to. I've done service work for lots of different brands. Most of them, I would not buy one of their machines after having done service work in the field for those brands. Southwestern Industries is one that I still favor and enjoy working on and using. So that says a lot about the product. Not that it's perfect, but it's pretty spot on, like I said, for prototyping. So probably the biggest benefit of going to a bigger machine is your increased cutting capacity. I would not say this is a high torque machine by lathe standards, but compared to a benchtop machine, you know, we can take 1/4 of an inch here in one pass without even hearing any change in spindle speed. Huge difference and huge increase in productivity. We have this machine here. It's a ShopFox M1099. It's really a benchtop lathe. We had converted it to CNC. This machine has been excellent, you know, for small turning prototyping stuff. This machine has been amazing. We set up a DRO. We've got tons of tooling for it. It's a 10 by 26, I think it is. So we're going from that to this guy, which is 16 by 30. So we have a 16-inch diameter capacity with a 30-inch length capacity. You know, overall, this one is got a much larger cutting capacity. You can take a heavier cut. It's more reliable, of course. You know, this is like a home conversion CNC. It's just a much more heavier, rugged machine, going from like a 350-pound machine to a 3,500-pound machine. And then looking at tooling, one of my favorite things about machining and doing prototyping work is the tooling. The best way to go about it is to have as much variety of tooling as you can. I think I've said this in the milling video before. Pretty much if I see anything new and it's within reasonable price point, I will just buy it for the mill or the lathe. Because there's countless situations where I've come across something that is made so much easier by having that one particular tool that you might only use 5 or 6 times a year. So we've been collecting tooling for this machine, everything from Morse taper adapters tooling. I'm a fan of the Aloris tooling, so we did get the Aloris CXA quick change tool post for this. I thought for this machine it would be worth getting the quality American brand that I've seen everywhere, and we did get a few of the tool holders from them. Particular stuff like the drill chuck mount, the 5C mount like this guy. This will hold a 5C collet. We have the drill chuck in here somewhere. This guy is really handy, super fast to change a drill, and this goes right in the quick change. You can put it on center and then you can drill, you know, do CNC drilling with this. So that's great, totally worth the price for that. And then there's some odd, fun, eccentric stuff like this guy. This is really made for a tailstock traditionally, but this is a 6-position tool holder, and it just rotates and will index into 6 different positions. This is really handy for smaller parts where you're doing smaller tools, but it's quick and easy because you don't have to take the tool holder out of the machine to change tools. You can just go from 1 through 6. You know, maybe you start with a center drill or a spot drill, and then you drill your hole with number 2, and then you ream it or bore it, and then you tap it. You know, you've got a variety of options there. It's a little pricey to put everything together with the collets, but with the time you're going to save, it pays for itself really quickly. And then there's some fun older stuff, a little bit of gang tooling options from Aloris, and you can make your own too. You make longer ones, or you can set up a gang tooling fixture in there that's independent of the quick change tool post if you want to. And then we have stuff like Morris taper holders for large drills and older style fixtures and things like that. There's a bunch of stuff we're still going to get for this. Definitely the 5C collet chuck with the closer on it. That's really big help for doing short productions of small turning stuff. You can do manual operations whenever you feel like that's easier and faster. And you can also do 2-axis CNC run with as many tools as you want. Basically, you can cut any thread on this machine that you want to. You can cut standard and metric threads. You can make up your own threads. You can do custom pitches if you want to. You could even chase existing threads if you had something that needed repair or an alteration of the size on it. Southwestern Industries has put out lots of great instructional videos on these machines. If you haven't seen them in the showroom, you can go to a showroom and take a look at them. There's free training days in a lot of areas where you can book a time to go in and they will actually train you on one of their machines. Another good one is Fryer. I do like the Fryer brand machines. Kent, I think, has a couple of good of options out there. I haven't worked on those myself, but they look pretty good. I think it's kind of a matter of finding a brand and style of work that you like. One thing that I do like to do is kind of standardize types of machines, or at least brands, in the workshop. This lathe is pretty much the sister machine to this DPM2 made by the same company. I don't know if you can tell in the video, but these machines are strategically skewed from each other. They're not lined up to the wall, skewed maybe 10 degrees to the back wall so that the spindle will clear the working area in the mill. That'll allow us to do long parts in the spindle, and it also allows me to use the mill as a mounting point for bracing a long tube or a long rod or something like that. And then along the same lines, the vices in the mill are set up so that when you clamp on a long part, they will clear the edge of the lathe also. We have done, especially this year, a lot of long parts in the mill. We get stuff that's maybe 10 or 12 feet long. We need to be able to process it in sections on this machine. So having through clearance past the lathe and all the way out the door if we need to. We can do up to like 22 feet in this space. You know, you may not want to line them up perfectly square to each other in a row because you'll end up shooting yourself in the foot and having to move one later on.